Hello, everybody. My name is Brian, and welcome to the Monday Club, the second edition. I was actually on screen there, and I didn't even know it because it said something was wrong when we were live. So I'm joined here with Alan and Dean. How are you, lads?
How are the lads? How are you keeping? Happy Monday.
So this show now is the second installment of the Monday Club, and we're going to be speaking to James from the Boys and Girls of Knocka, just to get an update on the pulse of the community and where we're at now, especially since there's a lot happened over the last year. So we'll watch the show video I've prepared, and we'll be back with James right after this.
The page was great, it was fantastic, and it put Knocknaheeny in a fantastic light at the time. And it is, and it was great to see Knocknaheeny for positivity for once, you know. I don't want to end the page, but it's not what it is anymore. It's seriously under attack, and I think I'm trying to protect the integrity of Knocknaheeny, if anything, because there's a lot of people on the outside looking at this.
And we're back with James Twomey playing the...
Sorry, are we on? 1 second.
We all going absolutely beat long. No, I started off on screen. I didn't even know it.
Campers back. Sorry, boys. How are you,
James?
How are you, lads?
Worst actor ever.
Oh, unbelievably brutal. Worst actor, man.
I was actually playing.
James, what were you playing? Sorry?
Call of Duty as zombies.
Yeah, that's okay. We wanted John there at 8:15, literally.
Sorry about that.
8:15, he turns up.
Priorities.
Priorities, yeah, you know, stuff going on by. But look, the Boys and Girls of Knocka page, just watch the video. I hope you watch the video. Anyway, because I didn't send it to you before. It was, you didn't know, I didn't know anything about it. But basically, look, April last year, you done a live stream. We're not going to get into why, the ifs, the buts, all before it. But you were going to shut down the page. You were going to just pull the cord. That's it. Call it a day. We had 2 questions, basically, I started off with. Are you happy you didn't? And has it progressed since then?
Well, the first question is, Brian, we did shut it down. We were shut down for about 2 or 3 months. And we do, like, as you know, we obviously came back. And no, I'm very happy we came back. I mean, the page is flying since. You know, I mean, we have 4,000 new members since we came back, which is amazing and on itself, you know. But like you said, I don't really want to get into it, but
I suppose, James, what you do there is, like everything, you always start with the positives.
Yeah.
The page was set up for nothing else more at the initial stages of re-engaging with people like yourself, like myself, who are from Knocknaheeny, but who moved to different parts of the world or parts of Cork or whatever.
Yeah.
But the main reason behind it was to set it up for a community aspect. That aspect is still there, and that's still growing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like there's people from all. I suppose it's hard to kind of imagine that there's people from Knocknaheeny all over the world, and you never realise it till the likes of the Boys and Girls of Knocka. I mean, I'd be chatting to people from Dubai, all over the States, Australia. They're from Knocknaheeny, you know, and they love the page because it's a way of connecting with friends they never spoke to before, which is fantastic, you know. And they're the comments I love seeing. Saying, we say like, "Are you Marie from Glendore Park?" And go, "Yeah, geez, I've seen you for 20 years, you know." and then the conversation goes off. That in itself is amazing, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
James, I actually saw the other day there was someone posted on the page asking did they know someone else that was a couple of doors away from them, or a couple of doors away in the school or something like that,
Right.
and actually put them in contact with their brother. So hopefully there's a connection being made there. We just want to point out to anyone that's listening, they can actually comment and ask James some questions, or ask us some questions, and we'll play them out.
Like some of the information there, James, you'll see it as it's playing. They're from events that have taken place.
That's right, yeah.
Under the umbrella of the Boys and Girls of Knocka. One of the big ones that's very relevant now is about mental health awareness, and community and the community spirit around mental health and talking up. You might just bring us some more information as to, firstly, we went from photographs and reminiscing and stuff to some serious community work.
Yeah, look, like we took off like a hurricane. The stuff that we got done, you know, there was a mental health talk, and that was fantastic. It was a great turnout for it. We had Brenda Denny actually hosted it, and yeah, look, it had a good impact, I suppose. You know, to be fair, like there was a lot of questions, a lot of people were asking questions there, and like again, the turnout was fantastic, which I was delighted with, because you know these things you'd be kind of worried who's going to show up, you know, but there was a good turnout on the day, and yeah, that was a good evening actually. And to be fair, I learned a lot myself, you know. Mental health, it's well, obviously today with the lockdown, it's a huge issue, you know, because a lot of people are, so including myself, to be honest, at times, you know, and I do get down with the whole lockdown, you know, as long as same as a lot of other people.
Yeah, a lot of people, they use social media as a bit of escapism from getting out of the house as well. So I'm sure you've been sent messages directly to the page as well, just as an interaction. Is there any good news stories you have from those messages you've received?
Yeah, look, people. Look, to be honest, I suppose the first lockdown, there was a lot of people were scared and worried because you know we didn't know what was happening, none of us, you know, and a lot of elderly people. I got a message off one particular lady in particular. I won't mention her now, but she was like, "I'm really worried about all this and my health and blah blah blah," and I messaged her for a few days, but encouraged her. So I was putting up posts for her. I was actually putting up silly games. I think she knows who she is if she's watching. Just to keep her going, you know, and she actually messaged back about a week into the lockdown to say thanks very much. You really got me through the week, you know, which to be fair, now I thought was, you know, I felt good about it. You know, I felt I did something. But I have had a lot of messages. But this lockdown, I think people, the feeling that I'm getting anyway on the page and messages that I get, people are angry and fed up and annoyed. You know, does that make sense?
It does.
It's a different feel about it, you know.
Yeah, it does. I think so. Like, lockdown is part of everyone's lives, right? But what I'd like to get across in this talk, and the lads as well, is talk about the good and the positives.
Oh, yeah.
Without the Boys and Girls of Knocka, the defibrillator that was fundraised for wouldn't have happened. So, like, again, for the people that may not know what goes on in the background, they think it's liking a few posts. What actually goes into making that a possibility from yourself and the other people involved?
Well, at the time, was actually, I have to give credit to Regina Short. She actually came up with a defibrillator. We were actually fundraising for it, and we were nowhere near the cost of it. And she rocked up one day to buy tickets because we were holding Singletons in Hollyhill gave us a hamper to raffle. And she goes, "What's all this about?" I actually was standing there looking at her, and she goes, "I have one at home." And we were like, "What?" She goes, "You can have it." So we just couldn't believe it, you know, because we were there for about 2 days selling tickets. But she gave us, in fairness, she gave us a defibrillator, and so the money that we raised, I think it was about €1,600. I think we went away and we bought, we got a box which is on Harvey Road now, and we got it fitted. You know, we got a good box which was heated which again I didn't know. Again, it's a learn. You learn as you go. A regular box wouldn't have done because the frost and the heat would destroy it. But this thing has what you want to call it, air conditioning and whatever when needed. You know?
It's a proper fit for purpose.
A proper fit, yeah, and it cost the money, and we had the money.
And you had the money.
And it's there. I know there's a defibrillator in Knocknaheeny for everybody. That was never there before because up to that point there was one in Groundabrook Garda Station, and there was one in the pharmacy in Hollyhill, which is only accessible up to 6 o'clock in the evening. You know, now there's one 24 hours a day. No, it's never been used, thank God, but it's there. You know, it's there for anyone whoever thinks it in the area.
And even at that, Oh no, you're all right. I thought you were finishing.
No, that in itself was a big achievement. To be honest, I'm very proud of that. You know,
Even
and
at
everybody involved. Sorry, Brian.
You're right. Even at that, the €6,000 I think he raised for Knockneeney Celtic at the time. He raised another GoFundMe. But look, we're going to move forward to now and what we have planned in the future. Because look, it's the whole point of the show was you were going to shut down the page. You didn't. You made a good choice. Everybody agreed to that.
Yeah.
And now people want to know what's going on in the future. So look, I don't know, the anniversary of Knockneeney, you were on to me about that already.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Knockneeney's 50 years old next year, 2022. So I spoke to you actually first, Brian, about it.
Yeah, we were going to call it the Knocka 50, and it sounded like
Knocka 50. Knocka 50.
And it would have
got a free Honda 50.
Up the back fields through Norfolk on a bubble bike.
That's it, yeah. But yeah, I spoke to a few people. I spoke to Phil O'Flynn, the principal in Terence McSweeney. She's happy to come on the committee, like yourself, Brian, and Dean and Alan. You know about it. And
we have James Leonard from the two Norries.
We have James Leonard, Brian Cullen. We have Ken Collins, Mick Nugent. I have yet to speak to John in the library about it. I didn't make a call, but I didn't get through to him. So just a committee that we can all get together, get our heads together, plan activities and whatever for maybe a week-long celebration. I don't know, like there's nothing set in concrete yet. But there's good heads there with yourselves as well, you know, that we can really celebrate. Like 50 years is a big milestone, you know.
And even at that to say it, we even discussed this as well. It's Knockneeney is 50 years old, but obviously then you have the surrounding areas, things like that would be there. So it's more inclusive to celebrate 50 years, and even when the time comes, we were saying celebrate. We'd say, you know, the likes of the other communities around, or if another community organisation has something going on, it's about building communities and relationships between areas more than anything else, all inclusive.
When you post something like that, do you just do it on a whim, or do you have a plan in place for a few months in advance on what you're going to post on the page?
Well, I didn't actually post anything. I put out a post there about a week or two ago saying Knockneeney's 50 years next year, 2022. Let's plan a party. Let's plan something. You know, that's the post I didn't actually put anything in, not in solid yet. You know. Till I spoke to people. But I would have to think about it, to be honest with you. You're right.
Yeah, but just in general, like if you're going to post something yourself, is it something that you would think about?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd like to put out. I'd post like at the start of the page. I was just putting up random stuff, to be honest with you, you know. But today, you know, I just put out stuff that's going to be engaging. I might put up a comedy post, or maybe a comment. Like I put up a post this morning about a fella coming home, introducing his girlfriend to his mother, and his mother saying, "I wish you could do better." And the boyfriend says, "Stop, Mom." She says, "I love her." He says, "I'm not talking to him. I'm talking to her. I'm talking to her, not you." You know.
Like James, one of the things as well, and even today, I was speaking to somebody that I know. They lived in Knockneeney till they were 13, and she said she's a member of the group, but she checks in regularly. But like the pages of photographs are creating conversations in the now. So like one thing that came up was Mandy's. We all remember Mandy's.
Mandy's, yeah. I put out a post last week. I think about it.
Yeah. So you're basically, you must remember that these photographs that people are posting and people are finding, they're creating conversations in the now. Which for me, not living in Knockneeney up to COVID, I was up there every day visiting my mother. But that's huge.
Yeah. They're actually great. Like the 80s, back in the 80s, the 90s are fantastic for our age group, you know. I have a few years on all, you know, to be fair, but you know, we all kind of grew up together. But
hot stuff.
Hot stuff, that's it. But yeah, no, they do. Like I'd be amazed at the volume of comments that would come into like some Mandy's there now, you know, and memories people be throwing up there. I had my party in there, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's mad, you know. It's yeah. They do. It does blow my mind at times, you know.
Good times.
Yeah, the photos are huge. You know, the photos are huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, we might just bring Brian in there, so Brian just has a kind of a midpoint again for anybody that's watching. Send us a comment, give us a post. If there's anything, you know, if we can get time to read them out, we'll get them. But if not, at least they'll be there for people to see after the broadcast is over. Brian.
Oh yeah, it's just basically, look, if anybody wants to get involved with the show, it is new. We are going to progress it. You know, this is something we're going to actually continue on with. we did before lockdown last year. We did have an area lined up, an actual shared studio, where we were going to progress this, because we were going to move on from starting this in 2017 as Cork in Focus, doing remote interviews, doing online interviews, right across the world to Australia. We wanted to get the show going, but since lockdown we've had to adapt, so we've come up with this format online. So if anybody is interested in getting involved, I wasn't ready.
Are you involved in a community group, voluntary organisation or non-profit business? Or have you a virtual event you would like to promote? If so, and you want to join us for a chat, get in contact with us via social media, email or check us out online.
Even there, you can see we done cover the likes of Miss Cork, the boys and girls of Knocka. We've covered loads, lots and lots. We've been involved in making another few podcasts with other people. So look, if you want, you can get in contact, and I think Alan even has a point on that.
Yeah, like one of the things that really strikes a chord with me was when we did the broadcast there across from your mother's in Harvey Road. Like we've seen it in the reel earlier. It's changed and it's redeveloped. So Knocknaheeny has developed in the last 50 years. The regeneration project is huge, and it's only a start of that journey. So as we can see the comment there, Knocknaheeny has developed a lot in 50 years. The regeneration project is a great asset to the area. Great page, James, keep it going. Like people can see Knocknaheeny is changing.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's completely different, isn't it? It's mad to see it, actually. It's hard to see the way it was, isn't it? When you see all the new houses and everything, and they're beautiful in fairness, and it does look amazing. You can
even see it in one of the pictures you put up, the orthopedic. What we used to call the yard, huh? It's not the yard to go up the yard by, but up the what was it called again? The chippy. Up climbing the chippy tree and making the swings off the back of the Baker Street Bear there. Yeah. But anyway, you see some of the pictures and you can see Harbourview Road going right up, and it's only even being developed at the time. There's nothing really around it. No, but even when I done the drone shot that time, you can go up, you can just see houses then everywhere. Yeah. Even when we done it that time, was it the field is now developed? That's where they're building all the houses.
You wouldn't recognize it.
And you wouldn't think if we were doing a drone shot that time in the video, and that's history, because it's not here anymore.
Yeah.
It's about recording history. Do you, Dean?
Yeah, so the thing that gets me is that when the page was first set up, the coverage was everywhere. So like you've got messages in the past from celebrities, and you've been on a few TV stations. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that was very daunting, to be honest with you, because, obviously I wouldn't be used to any of that, like even going on the radio there, and in fairness, 96 FM have always been fantastic to the boys and girls of Knocka. Always gave us airtime. Personally, I used to be very nervous going on, but, people would say afterwards, you were very good on, but I was like, geez, my hat was going empty. I was stressed out, because you wouldn't be used to it, We wouldn't be like Alan,
He wasn't the famous person in Harvey Road, no, you were.
Yeah, but that's nice, It is nice, I suppose, in a way, It's I don't know what to say to that, Dean, to be honest with you, It's different,
That's true.
Very good point. Like you're after having coverage on behalf of the page, as well as other people. But we have one special person that has got in contact with us ahead of the show. So Brian, if you're ready, we might just get that video played out.
Hiya folks, Glenn Cal here. Shout out to all the boys and girls of Knocka. How's it going? Myself and James Twomey came up with an idea a couple of years ago for reconnecting with people on Facebook, and Boys and Girls of Knocka page was born, and couldn't in the wildest dreams think of a couple of years later we have 11,000 people on the page. So thanks everybody that wanted to join up, and hopefully many more to come. And shout out to our other admins, Job Morgan, fantastic post, brilliant stuff on the page, check it out. And big shout out to Unity Media as well for having our backs since day one. Cheers lads, and best of luck to James tonight. He's on Unity Media, so tune in, and onwards and upwards, and hopefully a lot more thousands as the years go by. Cheers guys, peace out, nice one.
So James, we received that about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. When I saw it was actually very good. Now I know you'll be seen as the face of the page itself, but Glenn was there at the start as well, and obviously did a lot of music as well on the page as well. So what are your thoughts on your nice video from your friend?
Sorry,
Yeah.
James, if you repeat yourself there, sorry. I had you muted.
You had me muted.
Yeah.
No, that was nice. Glenn never said nothing to me that he did that. You know, so yeah, myself and Glenn, like this whole page started out of myself and Glenn one day because Glenn lives in Sligo now. And like we grew up with a big circle of friends, maybe. So I'd say there was a couple of 40 lads and girls growing up together, you know. And that's why we set up the pages to so we'd all reconnect. And so, like I said, it blew up overnight into what it was, you know. So we never expected any of this, you know, to where I went.
James, from looking at what success has happened from the development of the page, from the community aspect, so CDs were made for fundraisers, fundraising events, you know, involvements in very, very good stories that are spoken about. What's the one moment that stands out for you as the moment personally that, yeah, this was all worthwhile?
Yeah, if I have to be honest, it would have to be the GoFundMe for that tragedy there in Happy Road. We all know the person, I you know, but
Of course.
yeah, it just the outpouring of support for that GoFundMe. I mean, it was there almost €20,000 raised for it. And that was over the weekend. I just could not believe that. You know, I mean, that would have been that all stands out for me big time, you know.
Mhm.
And that came about from the boys. No, I know it was only a small substitute for the family for what they had to go through, you know, but it definitely helped. You know, I took that finance off them, that, you know, that unexpected finance, if you want, you know.
It was a burden that nobody would be prepared for. And
Yeah.
I think, James, you mentioned it before, that Knocknaheeny, unfortunately, when you were growing up and we were growing up, always had a negative connotation on occasions. But that's just one moment that proves that
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
a lot of very, very decent people in the parish where we're from.
Oh, that was amazing. I mean, I set it up that morning. I was in work, and I remember saying it. And I remember I was talking to one of the aunts, or aunt, and I was heartbroken, to be honest, because they're a lovely family. We all know them. And I set up the GoFundMe, and I'd say within 2 hours it was €2,000, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe this. And then 96 event picked up on it, KC, and then PJ Coogan ran with it. And I think by the Monday there was like nearly €19,000 raised, you know. My mind was blown. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, Jesus, Mary Joseph. But like that, the community, everybody got in behind it, you know. And that's always been the way in Knocknaheeny, to be honest. And it has been that way when I was growing up, you know. Like I remember my family lending money to neighbours at the time, you know, and when I was a kid. And vice versa, you know, we were all in the same boat at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody helped everybody, and I think that's why I always loved Knocknaheeny. And no, don't get me wrong, I love where I live now, but it's nowhere near the community spirit that Knocknaheeny has, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say there. When you look back, you would think that you go, oh, geez, we probably had nothing when we were growing up, but we were all in the same boat.
We were blessed.
So
we were blessed.
Yeah. So when we grew up, and we look at the community spirit, and you probably have people on the page that are living in Australia, New Zealand, and they're probably checking in all the time. So it shows that the community spirit between everyone. I'm sure it's the same with pages from other places as well, all over the world. So what do you want to bring to the page going forward when it comes to the community? I know you could be posting on the page, or you want to do an event next year. What do you want to do within the community itself within the next, say, 6 to 12 months?
Well, I'm happy just to highlight Knocknaheeny for all the positivity that it deserves, basically, you know, which it has done though for the last 12 months or 2 years, really, you know, because like a lot of people had their own perspective of Knocknaheeny, and I think the boys and girls in Knocka has changed a lot of hearts and minds, if you want, you know, big time, you know.
Yeah, like it's some of the people that would have. I mean, I know you know my family. I come from a big family, and there was an old thing for my older sisters that when they were going for jobs of old, that sometimes they would intentionally take off their place of residence.
Done myself.
Yeah, but I would say that potentially has been quelled over the great work that's going on there. And while I'm not living in Knocknaheeny, if I'm ever asked, no matter where I am, where are you from? I'm born and bred in Knocknaheeny, but now I live in North Cork or whatever. And that's something that every person, as you mentioned, from Knocknaheeny is all over the world. I'd say that they wear their pride on their sleeve.
And they should do. They should do. I mean, people looking in at all the photos from Donald Harris, which came on the page originally. I mean, you can see all the, like we had cycling clubs, scouts, football teams. We had them all, like drama. You know, I mean, looking back at our parents, the time they put into us is amazing. You know, we are the people we are today because of Knocknaheeny. And unfortunately, you have the percentage, and every community has it. We all know them, you know. And unfortunately, Knocknaheeny got tarnished with that 1%, you know. All right, maybe a bit more, 2.5%, we said. But you know what I mean. And everybody's picture of Knocknaheeny, people from Knocknaheeny was, oh yeah, you know, that's them, you know. Unfortunately, you know. But the media. Sorry, Brian, go on.
No, go on. What were you saying? Go on.
No, I was going to say, back in the 90s and the late 80s, the media, we were a soft target for them. I call it spade, you know.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, even on that, actually, if I could just get in there, even just as you were saying there in the snaps, you can even see the likes of Neil Prendeville tweeting. It's not all bad, you know what I mean? It's 100% positive, especially about the boys and girls in Knocka, the page being set up. You can see even some of them there, you know what I mean? There's only a small percentage that we just kind of pulled at the time just to get as much as we could up.
Yeah.
But it was like it really put Knocknaheeny in a positive light. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at the photographs there, like the fancy dress parties, you know, inviting people to our communities that are from outside the parish. And like that's something that will always grow positivity. And when you start to normalise the positive work that's gone up there, stigma that was attached many years ago is a case of that's been forgotten about. It should have been never there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But now the work, and I know there's a lot of community groups, you know, in Knocknaheeny and other areas that are there for one reason only. It's to grow community spirit, to engage with everybody, to make people feel they're part and they own where they live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even the whole point of when we were talking last week, James, we were saying coming on, we got the boys and girls in Knocka on, but this is a wider thing, you know, even since, as Alan just said, the boys and girls in Knocka started, and then there was no community. There was community forums and boards and selling things online on Facebook. And then with a few months, you had a load more. But you know what? It made people take pride in their area. Yeah. Because I even got a message last night to Unity. I don't know, did the two lads see it? It was quite late. But it was just in relation to the situation that unfolded last night with unfortunately, the elderly lady being found. But somebody messaged me to give me a bit of info on it. I won't say their name, but they were basically going on about if this was community years ago, you know, that would have never happened. Nobody would have been in that house, we'd say, for 2 or 3 days, unnoticed that they're not around. People knew everybody. People, you know, saluted everybody every day. But that still does go on in older communities. Yeah. You know, and even they said people want to stop looking down now and start looking back up. You know,
look at the day we did the broadcast, lads, right, on Harbourview Road. There was people there, and they said it openly. They said, "What number are you?" Such and such. I'm number 20. I'm living in 117 or 120 or 140, whatever it is. Some of those people didn't even know each other.
That's mad, isn't it?
And they're living there for years and years. You know.
Yeah.
There's a question after coming in there, James. Brian might bring it in, but I can start reading it out. It's kind of long. Would James ever consider running for council or other political office, being so proud of the area and such a force of late in terms of pushing the good side of Knocknaheeny? He would surely be as good as anyone to represent the area at those levels.
No.
He's too busy playing Call of Duty.
1 second. Just give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second there. This guy's just racking my head.
Yeah.
You get that 11-year-old.
But even for somebody to question that, like, I mean, at the end of the day, we have, every one of us, even where we're living individually, we have people that are our public representatives and they're proactive in the development of their communities. we have that in abundance in Knocknaheeny.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
but sometimes you might be from Knocknaheeny and bring that love and passion for your area to where you're living yourself. So it doesn't necessarily mean that anybody that's in that position cannot do it in their own localities, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely, yeah. I just go back to the question there. Thanks very much. I'm flattered that you would think I'd make a brilliant councillor, but politics is not for me. I don't know what now. I'd be too honest, and I don't think they'd like to know what I'd have to say. I wouldn't last long. That's the
You say that politicians aren't honest.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
You'd have some great ideas, you know, because I often get those late phone calls and it's 10,000 ideas of things to do, and you know, you're a great man for the ideas. And I'll turn around and say there's been a couple of things we've done for Unity that you've come up with the idea and you've contacted me and said, Brian, I have a great idea here. You should do this, 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 and this. And you're always doing it. You know, you are an ideas man. I go to Alan now and I say, Alan, I have a brilliant idea, you know. But it's, do you know what I mean? Look, that's just
and Alan sticks them on mute.
Ring me, give it to me.
I know. That's actually tormenting when that happens. Like the whole Knocka 50 thing now that we were talking about. Sure, I didn't see
we're not, one second now, we're not calling it the Knocka 50.
We're not calling it Knocka 50.
Knocka 50. Stop saying it because people will get the impression it's called the Knocka 50. And what will happen is we'll call it the grand 50th anniversary of Knocknaheeny. Oh, that's the Knocka 50. The boys were on about.
We're not calling it Knocka 50.
You can't call it Knocka 50 because that's sounds like 50 fellas that are on the courthouse waiting for the chairs or something like that. Like.
or we would. There was a person many years ago from Vincent. I don't know if you recall. There was an event and there was something happened at the event, and as a result there was a holiday a couple of weeks later, and there was one person that went on that holiday with a t-shirt, free the such and such one, and there was 39 people wearing their own clothes and this one person with the t-shirt. So yeah, before we wrap up there, James, Dean, you just want to take that message there on the screen?
Yeah, so it just says from a Facebook user, they obviously want to remain anonymous, so it's continued success and good health to James, Glenn, and all the members of past and present of the boys and girls in Knocka. Will continue to highlight all the positives within the community and beyond, which is true. And I just want to point out as well, James, you're moving into, I'm not saying you're moving into, but you're posting all the old photos now onto Instagram. So if anyone wants to follow you, you're on there as well. Is that correct?
Boys and girls in Knocka on Instagram. Yeah, we're nearly up to 1,000 followers, which is great. So they're all up there, and there's a lot of the 80s and a lot of the Cork City as well. I actually love the Cork City ones because I can remember a lot of it because I'm old now.
Yeah, I don't remember any of it.
No, you don't. Kid.
Yeah, one photo that always pops up, and I always show the kids is the photo of up the reservoir with the two pools.
Yeah.
And you can see the school being built as well. So like that's all gone. Yeah. Obviously, there's houses on top of that, but
it's great history to have. In fairness, it's great to have them. You know.
And James, how have you been personally during the lockdown? What have you done to pass your time and keep yourself sane?
Call of Duty. I'm Prestige.
Besides Call of Duty.
Never been there before.
Yeah, besides.
No, to be fair, I'm lucky enough that I've been working right through the lockdown, you know. But look, to be fair, it does take its toll on me, like, you know. You know, it's hard going, you know, and I have a lot of neighbours here that don't get out, you know, that they're in the lockdown and they're from working from home.
Yeah.
You know, it is tough. It's tough on everybody, you know, and hopefully, you know, by June it'll be behind us, you know. Big brunt of it, you know.
Keep posting those photographs, and obviously
Absolutely.
Anybody that's watching, if there's any photograph that you have unearthed in your attic or in a box or a shed that isn't up there, if you just want to let people know, James, how they can go about getting photographs onto the pages, you might just take people through that step if they haven't already uploaded or gotten contacted for the purpose.
Yeah, when people do it, a lot of people send photos into me. They send them through via messenger and they post them themselves directly, and I let them go, you know. Yeah, listen, I suppose people who are watching, look, go up to your attic, get the old photos of Knocknaheeny while you have them, and we can store them on the boys and girls in Knocka for everybody, you know. So before they're lost forever. That's what I'd say to a lot of people, you know.
Yeah, no, it is.
Of the area, because, you know, you'd have your kids out playing football and you'd have all the old houses in the background, you know.
But even since the journey has started, so obviously myself and Brian and Dean have been behind it because we're from the north side. It doesn't matter whether you're Gran, Shandon Street, you know, north side, we stick together. But that video, I just keep going back to it. That video that we did when Brian operated the drone, that's changed, that's gone. That will never be back.
Never be back.
That's in the space of, what was it, May 2018, Brian, was it?
Yeah.
May 2018, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
If you showed somebody that footage, you brought them up there, no, they'd be like, go away with that for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
they wouldn't believe you. You know,
it's just to bring back the point
to
that
have that history captured. Yeah, absolutely.
exactly. So while you might see a photograph that you're not in, or you know nobody, but you know it's up in by the school
Yeah,
or whatever,
somewhere.
just get it out there because you'll be very surprised.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what that will mean to somebody on a day specifically now during these hard times.
Absolutely, yeah.
It could get a conversation going in their home in Germany or Spain
Yeah.
or Dublin, and I think that's vital. So yeah,
And even make a connection with people, that two people, like you said, one in Germany, one in Cork, and they'll comment, and then that happens a lot,
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. Sorry,
And even on that one, no, it's as I said, that's recorded history, and a lot of what we do video-wise, we're not really too pushed about views or how many views it's getting now, because it's about recording what's going on. Because God forbid, all of us are dead in 50, 60 years. I can bet those videos will be looked back on with nostalgia, or somebody pointing something out to their kids.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's about the long run, not for now and likes and shares and all that kind of stuff. So look, even like this, nobody is watching us, and we're just four lads having a chat. No, I'm only joking. We actually have viewers. So look, even on that one, I think we'll end it there unless the lads have any more points, or James, you have any more to add to that?
Yeah, I actually want to say thanks to you guys. Unity, in fairness, like Glenn said a while ago, you've had our backs in day one.
Cut him off.
And you, Glenn, and Brian, you owe me €10. I just want to get that out there now.
Although we waited till we went into the green room, like
You have some chance of getting that
Take
money
that back.
from Brian.
But on a serious note, lads, in fairness, I think you're an amazing lads up in Knocknaheeny and in the general community in the area. You do Trojan work, and you need to be credited for it big time.
No,
And I applaud you for one.
it's something like, I don't live in Knocknaheeny today. I'm gone out of Knocknaheeny 16 years, but I'm still from Knocknaheeny. I was born and bred there. Dean is the same. And nobody, no matter where you live, if you can help any area, never mind your own area, you should do that. So now more than ever, I put out a call to people. If you're not involved in your local community group in any way, don't be afraid to walk up and say hi.
Yeah.
It's that started the conversation with you and Glenn back then.
Absolutely. And you'll be surprised what people can bring to the table. Big time.
Yeah.
People underestimate themselves,
Yeah, Dean?
Yeah, and even like...
Yeah, I'd be the same. Like, I'm out in Knocknaheeny just over 20 years now, but if anyone ever asks me where I'm from, it's Knocknaheeny all the time. Even though I'm only just on the road, I'm down in Farnree, but I'd be the same. We all grew up around each other. We all had the exact same backgrounds, and even though my three best friends would be all on different continents, we'd all get together on a chat every so often. And they wouldn't be on Facebook, but it's trying to reconnect with friends, because there might be someone that was in your class years ago that you totally forgot about. You might see them in a picture and they're tagged in a picture, and you make that connection then straight away, and it starts off a conversation. And we all need to be talking to people outside the house as well when it comes to COVID. Because we're stuck in four walls, and we have to do that.
So
even at that, yeah, like I'm from Groan, I grew up hanging around up in Aircullen, the older Aircullen before they closed it off, all the alleys, things like that. I grew up then. I spent the other half of the week down in the tennis courts down in Groan Church with the rest of Knocknaheeny. So it was like one big bloody playground. That's what I was just going to say. It's like, some of my buddies went to Knocknaheeny, some of them went to the Man, some of them, like me, went to the AG. It's like, it was just like, there was no real barriers or anything like that. So it's not as there was barriers, it was just, we all came from different communities, but we're all proud of where we come from, because at the end of the day, it is all the north side. Every single community up there picked up stigma from different angles or different issues. But even at that, it's even to say, like, a lot of the reason we do a lot of this, some people think we only started last week or we only started back in June. We've been doing this a long time. Myself and Alan have, like, I'll say it. I would sit in my bedroom at 16 starting pirate radio stations. Dean worked in Surfers, was into his music. This is something we're long-term at, and it's just brilliant. Now we can actually record it. Technology is there, and, be a part of history. Like, that's the long-term goal.
I just see a message there. Anne-Marie Nicholson, another proud lady from Knocknaheeny. She's done out of Knocknaheeny a long time. Now a very successful business owner. She's very well up in slimming world. She was a franchise owner, and now she's one of the biggest managers in the region. So it's good to have Marie. But again, born and bred in Knocknaheeny, so not forgetting where she's from. I just got a message there as well, lads, before we wrap up. Will this be all community led each week? So I'll let Brian just take that. It won't be community led, but we have a genre. So Brian, if you just want to give that before we're finished up.
Yeah, so I'll just hide that message out. So basically, look, this week is about community, and we've come up with the idea. It's about give and take. We want people to come on to either give advice, or we want people to come on to take advice. This is something we're going to adapt, something we're going to progress. It's not something that's just going to be a few shows and basically run out of ideas. We want ye to get in contact with us. Ye give us the ideas. We'll then continue to create the shows around what people want to see or what people want to come on and do. As even Anne-Marie Nicholson there, if she wants to come on and give some sort of a perspective about business, we'd be more than happy to invite her on the show. Anybody else, if you think you can contribute to somebody doing arts and crafts, if you want to play James in Modern Combat on the PlayStation, it's all doable. You create the show.
You know what the main thing is there, just as you said that, Brian, it's about fun. So some of the topics we'll talk about may touch on some tragedy or something that happened that wasn't nice, but ultimately it's about positive messages. So I know in the pipeline we have sporting communities, we have some business owners who set up during the pandemic. We also have some very successful people from Cork in general. So just because we're all from the north side, it's not open to just north side led. Some of the people we'll be speaking to will be from across the water as well. Like they'll be from over near the loch, shall we say.
Yeah, and I've even reached out to a couple of friends of mine I worked with. There's a couple of them up in Dublin and a couple in Galway, and I want to get their community perspective. Doesn't matter where you are. If you're here now on the Boys and Girls of Knocka page or on our page and you're watching from Australia and you think you can contribute, get in contact. The email actually is the Monday Klub, TheMondayKlub at unitymedianetwork.com. I'll actually be posting it later. To give you a bit more info to where the K came from was Club FM, was the Fire Radio station we had in my bedroom 16. Bringing back a bit of nostalgia. So we might even do a show where we'll pop along to music for 30 minutes. Who knows?
No. Yeah, so again, thanks to James, thanks to Dean, and of course Brian makes all the nuts and bolts roll smoothly in the background. So we all put content into it. Myself and Dean just give Brian all the shit, and then he just puts all the stuff together and comes out the other side. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I'm really not as happy before we start. I'm usually giving out to people, I'm showing at people, especially when they're 22 minutes and still waiting for them to come on and they're asking for a link.
So yeah, thanks very much everybody for watching.
Next time, okay?
Thanks to everyone for watching, and if you're out walking your dog or whatever listening on the podcast, remember, show us for you whatever topics you want us to cover, or if you know of anybody. So we've two there now coming in. Those two names, John O'Shea, legend, Kieran Keane, legend. They're sporting people. We have a sporting contact as well. So by all means, whoever is those contacts, get them on to straight away.
Oh, and look, I think at that point we'll finish out with the lovely video I made, James. That'll probably be never seen again, as I said, for another 20 years. On that note, thanks very much. Make sure you do get in contact. Goodbye.
You have to do the wave. You have to do the wave.
The winning streak, cheeky wave.
Cheers, lads.
See you later.
Thanks, boys.
Just waiting for that video now. All technicalities. I'm brilliant at this, aren't I?